Hi all, welcome to this little introduction on System 9 that I've just put together for you. To give you a brief insight, System 9 is based on these four books. Obviously we've got red ball, orange ball, obviously your green ball, yellow ball, and that alone gives you 10 years worth of information from the ages of 4 up to 14. And we've also got other books like the psychology, the patterns of play. Unfortunately, all the other books are sold out, so I don't have them to show you. But to give you an insight, if we start, and it doesn't have to be at 4 years old, if we start with a player who's a beginner, always like to work with 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds first, purely because as a club, that's what grows everything that I do. We have 9 stages. When we work for those 9 stages, we produce a very good percentage tennis player. Tactically, they've got the basics. Technically, they can do forehands, backhands, serves, volleys, half volleys. So they've pretty much got the range. When we get to orange ball, I'll talk about what else they can do, and then green ball we can add. But that's purely because of the speed of the balls and the way that they bounce. So let's get straight into it. If I take a complete beginner, and I've just taken an adult, she's on her 10th lesson. She's 24 years old, 10th lesson. She's already between stage 5 and 6. Now, purely that helps that, you know, she's having a couple of lessons a week, but at the same time, it helps that she's done another sport. She's come from hockey. She's played a lot of netball. Her hand skills, her receiving skills are quite good. So we can get through these very, very quickly. But if we start at stage 1, and stage 1 is just bounce hit, and you can look at my online videos and you will see there's one of Roger Federer in a park doing all of this, along with, there must be about 20 other kids on, it looks like a playground, in all honesty, and he's just doing the bounce hit. We have certain technical things that we need to hit. And so the way that I look at it, in each little section we get, we, as a coach, we have these mission cards. All my team that work with me, they work towards these mission cards. The kids know what the mission cards are. So look, this is what we're working on this particular term. And there's only 2 or 3 things that we work on in the space of about 12 weeks. If we can nail those 2 or 3 things, then it's not too difficult to move on. Stage 1, which is purely bounce it, and you know, we talk a lot about the L shape, and we make a lot of games, a huge amount of games in this area, because at the end of the day, if I'm going to grow a club, and I've done it at a lot of clubs, I'm currently doing it at my club in Ingatestone now as well. I first got there was 4 kids. Not sure what happened with the previous coach, but there were 4 kids there. Now, geez, I think we're on 42 kids or so. I mean, we had 13 in our lesson on Saturday at 11 o'clock. So we've built that up quite nicely, and we've just expanded the program April onwards just to combat a lot more. We've got a lot of people from cricket, a lot of people from football asking to come in, so we need to make time for that as well. But the way I look at it, and this is my kind of philosophy, we've got to make it fun. Number 1 key, make it fun. And the reason why I want to make it fun, if you think about it, they've got 23 hours, because they're only going to come once a week, 23 hours and 6 days to fall out of love with the sport. Think, this isn't fun, I don't want to go. This is too cold, I don't want to go. What I like about my kids at Ingatestone at the moment, if it's pouring down with rain, we're going to go on. You should see the 4 and 5-year-olds. It's absolutely teeming down with rain, and the parents already know to bring them. And we don't mind getting wet as coaches as well. So we just get on with it, and they're still having fun, despite the downpour. And we've had a lot of that this year so far in 2024. When they come regularly, so once a week as they're coming quite a lot, they're going to fall in love with the sport. And when they fall in love with the sport, we can guarantee that they will start listening to us. they will start thinking, actually, I want to improve a bit more. We're always looking at our mission cards and thinking, right, we've got to get this L shape. We've got to get it out in front of the hip at stage 1. And this takes, for a 4-year-old, it takes about 6 weeks. So this particular area takes 6 weeks. For an adult, you can do it in a week. You can do it in a lesson, actually, depending what background they've got. And they should have some sort of ball skills. When they've fallen in love with the sport, as I said, you can start teaching them. And it's always nice if, I don't mind parents sitting on the side, and actually they do, because where they come, they sit on the side, and sometimes I get them to join in, help do a little bit of feeding. Sometimes they make me a nice coffee as well at the same time. And I might even get them to teach. This is where I do it with kids, certainly the older kids, I do a lot of buddy coaching. That also enhances what they're doing as players. So I might be saying, you know, on this kid, every time they follow through, make sure they do this. I have this little tick box, and they have this card, and I'll say, right, what's their ready position? If they've got the ready position, ticket. If they've got a good contact point, ticket. If they set up the racket before the ball bounces, ticket. If they don't, just untick it, and at the end, we'll talk to each other about, look, you're missing this, you're missing this. And you tend to find the kids that do that first, if they never follow through before, and they know what it is, we work at it enough, then they'll be following through when they go on, and then they're being marked. So it works quite a lot. I do a lot of buddy coaching with my kids. Once we fall in love with the sport, we're teaching them to play at the end of the day. And why? Because we need them to play. So number one, they're going to be learning how to play the game. And then they're going to play so they can learn what else they need to play the game. And they work on that to play the game, and it's like a circle. They play, they learn what they need, then we teach them a bit more. Teach them, they get better, they play. This is great when we get into this stage, because then we've hooked them into the game of tennis. When we've got to bounce it, then we use what I call a service box or micro court. And that's just doing little bounce hits over the net. This is where we make sure we've got a ready position. We set up the racket before it bounces. In everything we do in the Red Bull book, we make sure that we hit all our targets. We tick all our boxes before moving on. We set goals. So, number one, they've got to do 20 bounce hits before the ball bounces. 20 bounce hits on one side on the forehand, 20 bounce hits on the backhand side. That means we've got to set homework. And that's why I like the parents being there. At the end of the lesson, we make sure that our parents see what we're doing. I say, look, this is what we need them to practice to get better. And when they can do 20, so we give them a certificate. There's a net license. That allows them to rally over the net with another player. If they haven't got this, I'm a bit harsh, they can hit over the net, but only if someone throws them the ball. Okay, so we do a lot of throwing over the net, catching over the net. We'll always integrate each session as well. So we'll be doing a bit of stage 2 with stage 1, a bit of stage 3 with stage 2. We'll always come back to these areas. But they're not allowed to rally over net with someone else unless they get their net license. This makes them work. This makes them do their homework. This makes them understand that we've got goals in tennis. You've got to attain those goals. Now, when it comes to stage 3, which is what I call long line, which is really working in half court, this is where you're going to teach your forehand and backhands. Along with the movement, you know, they should have the split step in place at this stage. I'm not going to teach you, or the system doesn't teach you how to teach technically. I have my own ways of doing it. I have simple ways of doing it. You can look on my YouTube channel, I think it's System 9 somewhere on there, that will teach you the way that I do it. I've got a new online course coming out which teaches a lot of technique. There's about 21 different strokes to teach technique in progressions, which works really nicely, and I drip feed stuff, so I do a lot of filler drills. And what I mean by filler drills, when we're working with our kids, I will make sure that a coach and an assistant coach will be hitting with every kid in every lessons, and we rotate around. So you get a lot of hitting rather than just feeding out of a basket. And I'm not against feeding out of a basket. But I like to do some live rallying that helps the kids out, and one likes to rally with a coach, and we do a lot of rotating around. That way, they get to do a lot of hitting, they get to improve their technical and tactical abilities. Obviously, here tactically it's just consistency. The whole course is based on consistency. One thing you'll find with our players that have ever come through System 1, their backhand is a lot better than their forehand, because we do filler drills. And that means when we're playing games, and there's a lot of games in the book, in all the books actually, a lot of games, a lot of situational drills, a lot of drills. There's times when the game's got to end, and then they will go straight into their filler drill, which may be hitting backhand to backhand. It could be doing a little serve progression, which they don't realise is teaching them slowly to serve. So this is why eventually we do get through all our technical things by the end of the term. And again, as I said, there's only 2 or 3 things to do. When we've done long line, we get into cross court, which is just basically running cross court. So really all we're teaching is how to change the direction of the ball to go across the court rather than just down the line. From cross court, we've got long line and cross court. I do this in shorthand. So again, we've got, each one has got goals. You've got to be able to hit 10 forehands, 10 backhands with a partner. So that one's going to make 20. Here you've got to do the same. You've got to hit 1 down the line, 1 cross court, 1 down the line, 1 cross court. And you know, pretty much when you can do there, if you think about it, if I can hit down line, I can hit cross court, I can hit to gaps. It also means I can hit to weaknesses, which possibly means I could play matches. So here, we actually teach the underarm serve. Just a simple underarm serve. I've got 2 little progressions that teach how to get your overarm rhythm and how to get your underarm rhythm. And the underarm serve teaches the underarm rhythm. So here we can do little matches. We're always doing matches. From, you know, bounce hit, we're doing matches. Right to service box, we're doing matches. And I grow the program this way, because in the bounce hit and the service box, I'm inviting, or I'm giving them a little ticket to invite their friends to come to the next group. And actually, they've got to teach their friends how to do it. I also invite parents to come along. And if they've really enjoyed it and they've got the time, I then give them to one of my other coaches on another call that's there, and they begin beginners lessons, or you know, simple sessions on how to play tennis with another coach at the same time. It's building our program, building our club, and also bringing some income in for all involved. Here at stage 6, we're going to teach the serve. We really do get into tactics here. This is what I call centre court. So all the tactics you have when the ball lands in the middle of the court, and we pretty much divide the court up into 4. So you've got your A, B, C, D, and we have to hit to those different areas. From number 7, 8 and 9, I mean, a lot of coaches I don't think get to here, even after 4 years. But number 7 is all about hitting angles. I mean, I've been to lots of events, I remember going to a county event a long time ago, and I sat there watching the county players, and they were so proud to have Essex Tennis written on the back of their shirts. All they did was hit in the orange ball court. And we're talking about teenagers. It was just up and down the middle, high loopy balls. I'm thinking, the minute one of them accidentally hit an angle, that opened the whole court and actually made them win the point. So if they didn't win it on that one, they won it on the next shot. So we have to teach angles. This is approach shots when we look at number 8. And again, I've got an online course to teach all of this, a little bit more advanced on what you actually have to teach in each one, or you can just buy it from the book. Number 9 is what I call the extra shots. So we're looking at the things that we haven't covered. We're doing volleys, by the way, straight from service box. So volleys come in here. We teach volleys early on. If you can hit the ball up on the racket, you can do volleys. This is your extra shots, so this is your smashes, your lobs, your drop shots. We've actually, here, we're doing drop shots as well. When it comes to planning, I like to call the first part start. So I don't care if you're red ball, orange ball, green ball, this is start. This is great for when parents come along and I can have a look at their kids, right, you need to start, you need to go to a start session. When we're here, so between these two, there's a 3, 4 and 5, I like to call rally. So at some stage the kids can rally the ball. So I call this the rally section. This is the play section. because now they're starting to learn to serve, now they're starting to get the hang of things, and just out of interest, by this age they're probably, they start at 4 years old, they're 5 or 6 years old, maybe 7 when they get to this stage, depending if they come once a week, twice a week. But because we're doing the serve, you can now start introducing them to individual lessons. This is where you can start nailing some of your kids to come up with individual lessons. So look, they really need to work on this serve. And they're bought in by now. They're hopefully aiming at this stage here where they play. Once we've got through all that, and this goes on to our orange ball book, so this is, we're looking at year 5, pretty much. Orange ball is all about the five situations. So as you know, we've got serve, we've got return of serve, we've got both back. When you're approaching, and we did a lot of that in the red ball. So we did that here in red ball. If we can get them to do it on the red ball court, it becomes easier to do it on the orange ball court. And don't get me wrong, I don't stick them in, you know, some of my red ball players, they may be at stage 7, maybe at stage 6, and they're a bit too tall, they're a bit too strong. So I'll put them over the net, we'll still use the red ball, we just won't do the mini net, unless they're playing matches. So it could be that, you know, we carry this on when we go to orange ball or even green ball. You could be any age when you start this. Obviously, the last one of the 5 is when your opponent is approaching or at the net. So we now open out all the games, all situations to make our players understand, look, these are the areas we've really got to get the hang of. And this is pretty much what the orange ball book's all about. And then we get to the green ball book. Well, when we get to green ball, we're now beginning to understand our own game. We're now understanding our own strengths. You know, we've built the serve up. When we get to orange ball, we're now starting to slice. I don't teach slice in red ball. We've got so much to do anyway that we start teaching chips, we start teaching slices, we start teaching the slice serve as well. Not many of my kids have a forehand grip on their serve because we do it right here. And I'm just thinking, I call it pat catch. You throw the ball up, you pat your head, you catch the ball, and you'll see it on some of my videos. If they can do that and throw the ball up in the right place pretty much all the time, so again, I always work with 20s because it's a little bit more difficult than just saying, right, if you can do 5, you've made it. And it makes them do homework, it gets them to understand goal setting. If they can do 20 of those, we can now teach the serve. If they're throwing the ball all over the place, what's the point of teaching the serve? The bouncers all over the place, the grips are going to be all over the place, they're going to be all over the place. Personally, I find it a waste of time. It's just one of the things I do as a coach. When they can do the ball toss in the right place, the majority of the time, so, you know, moving on to about 20, then we can teach the serve because we know they're going to have a decent ball placement. So when we get to green ball, as I say, we're going to start working on their game, understanding their strengths, making everything a bit harder, using the legs a bit more, using the body a bit more. We then move on to yellow ball where we start understanding our opponents and really nailing down what our players can do. So I always say, and I said this is a 10-year journey, so for the last, we're on year 6, when it comes to year 7, 8, 9, 10, if you can keep your players, and I have quite a decent job of keeping my players, I mean, geez, I still have my longest serving player as an adult, and he's been with me now since I was at Brentwood, which is a long time ago. I think he's been with me for about 12 years. And he's a decent player, he plays for our second team. If you keep your players, you can embark on this journey and you can get the parents to buy in onto this journey and you can't go wrong. Everything's recorded. We've got books for the players. We've got group books that our coaches can be doing lesson plans in. We've got everything covered, even the psychology. And we start doing psychology even really from about here. When they start playing matches, we can start looking at our 12-week psychology program, which we then, every 12 weeks, we have something to think about every week. And I just ran a course on that in Harpenden, actually. But what I'd like to say, just to finish off with, for the last 4 years, we're really trying to work on our players' game. all the way through this, and you know we got game styles, but all the way through this, I like to create an all-court player. Obviously, we've got your baseliners, we've got your net rushers, we've got our all-court players, and there's different, you know, factors in all of those. But we're making an all-court player because by the time they're 14 years old, they can then decide what style of play they're going to use. That's if you can get through the first 2 shots of each one you do. And we nail a lot of that in the green ball and the orange ball. Can you get through your first, you know, serve and next shot, return and next shot, so that you're not making a huge amount of mistakes. But just to finish with building a player, I have 3 things that they must do really well. I've got them to understand what's your favourite serve, what's your favourite serve direction, is it topspin, flat, slice? And I start teaching topspin really when they're strong enough in the shoulder. You can do it at green ball. I don't teach it at green ball. You can teach it at green ball, just the action, but it's not going to have any power, and it's just going to be a sitting duck for someone just to hit with their forehand, in all honesty. But we have 3 things they do really well, and you can start seeing stuff like this. When I coach some of my adults, so I've got one adult, he's on about his 15th lesson with me. We already know his forehand, he can whip out wide. That is what we're going to put into a set play, and we've got our 3 set plays for each player. We can put that into a set play for him to start winning points. So we have 3 scenarios that you think, yeah, that's one of the scenarios I'm going to win that point. We've also, you give him a short ball in his backhand, he's going to slice that down the line or chip that down the line. That's another thing he does really well. 3rd one we're still working on, in all honesty, but we've got 2 that I know. When I look at one of my other players, Ollie, he's got a forehand. You give him a forehand, he's going to whack that down. He can hit it anywhere, but he's going to hit that down the line. Another advocate of give him a short ball, you're in trouble. And a lot of that will be off his big serve. He's got a massive serve. Short ball, you're in trouble. The 3rd one is his drop shot. He can drop shot you from anywhere on the court. So the minute he's pushed you back, he's going to chip or drop that. You're coming in and he's just going to pass you. So there's these 3. The question is, with your better players, what are their 3? You can't do it unless you've done all the technical work and I understand the percentage tennis tactics. But there you go, in a roundabout sort of way. That's system 9. We've got some more stuff coming out. Obviously, we do teach doubles in this. When it gets to orange ball, we start teaching doubles, but we've got a doubles book coming out. We've got a junior tour book coming out with Bob Clark, so we're working on that at the moment, and that will take us from the years of 14 up to about 18. So what you would do on the tour if they decide at 14 years old that they're going to make a good go of it. Until then, I'm not really that worried. Let's just get them playing the game, let's get them enjoying it. Personally, for me, I like building the base. You build the base, you'll get your better players, and then you can work with them as you go along. Hopefully that's a great insight into System 9. What I will do for Tom as well is you can all have a free Red Bull book. So I will give you a PDF of that Red Bull book, which may help you out as well, and it'll give you to understand all these. But obviously keep it within yourself and try not to share it too much if you can help it. See you later.